The live stream seen and heard around the world by Bethune Cookman head football coach Ed Reed and principal left an everlasting feeling that sometimes when you're right, the delivery that you give can make it all wrong. We're going to talk about it right after this. You know, it's your favorite coach back at it again. 10 toes down, about to tell you how it all went down. This is Tomorrow Leader Sports Network with your host, Coach Walker. If you're new to the channel, please like, share, subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you can get all upcoming videos. For all my leaders out there, welcome back. Y'all know the drill. Y'all know the routine. If you haven't done so already, please like, comment, and share these videos. And tap in a friend or two and tell them to come on in. It's nothing but positive vibes. We're just having a good time talking about HBCU sports. And don't forget, you can follow us on all social media platforms. The links are listed down below in the description. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and tap on in this thing and get straight to it. But first, I want to thank a good friend of mine, Anthony Hood, my high school football teammate who touched down with me yesterday, in which we sat down and had a great conversation about all of this that's been going on. I'm glad he supports the channel. I thank him for supporting me, as well as many of you out there as well. Actually, all of you out there that have been supporting Coach over the past almost 3 years now. So I want to thank you for that. But guys, we're going to go ahead and touch this Ed Reed situation here that has a lot of folks really, you know, on different sides of the coin as far as we're looking at what's going on here. And you got to understand the passionate outcry from Coach Ed Reed in front of those Bethune-Cookman football players left an everlasting feeling with them in which they understood the fact that sometimes you got to take a stance and say the things that everyone don't want you to say. But in this instance, as I stated in the previous video, it wasn't what Ed Reed said, it's how he came, it's the deliverance of the words that he spoke. And not only that, but you got to understand things too. You hear me say all the time, college is a business in which when you're talking about business, college institutions, that's big business. And a lot of people out there, they want to donate their money to these institutions to make sure things are ran in the way that they want to be ran. But don't forget, you have some folks out there that's in the government sector that want to push that money over there to those schools as well. And I'm going to give you a quick rundown on everything that, you know, I'm thinking here from the standpoint of why I'm feeling all of this is happening in the manner that it is right now. I know a lot of people may not want to hear that, but sometimes you got to put it out there and let folks understand, hey, listen, these are the things that take place. And like I said, right now, the biggest thing right now is you're hearing that the athletes are wanting to have a, they want to do a march for Ed Reed because they want him to come back. Now, there is a petition that's out there in which I believe that petition is almost, what, at 5,000 signatures? The last time I checked, it was a little bit over 2,500. I'm pretty sure those athletes probably got those signatures on that form for them to go ahead and let everybody know they are serious about standing up for their coach. And one thing for certain is this. Going to an HBCU, better yet, going to any institution, period, there's going to become a time where you're going to have to take a stand as a man or a woman for something that you believe in. And this is one of those instances where a lot of these athletes that are there, they believe exactly in what Ed Reed was preaching to them as far as making sure they get out there and take care of the community, teaching them how to become young men. Understand one thing. We've seen a lot of athletes that's going to jail. We're seeing a lot of people that look like myself and others that are going to jail. And when you have someone out there that's giving them raw truth as far as what they need to do and look at from a standpoint of how to move forward, that tends to really, you know, wake some folks up and get them to understand, hey, listen, this ain't a game. I got to put in the necessary work in order for me to move forward. But I'm going to say this, guys, and I know you guys are probably going to be upset when you hear this come from Coach. But with all of that being said, with everything that everybody's looking to do as far as a stand up for their coach, I think all of that is going to go on deaf ears. Because remember, Ed Reed, he was told to cancel the recruitment event that he had set up for this past weekend, in which they had recruits coming in from out of town. How in the world how are you going to cancel something when you got people catching planes to come in from out of town to the school who may possibly want to consider, you know, coming there to continue their collegiate football career, better yet, continue their collegiate career, period, as far as with just being a student. I mean, listen, this whole thing from the beginning started off wrong. And I say that because this tweet that was put out should have never went out to the masses unless the contract was signed. Now, I know a lot of folks are still going to go back to, well, Coach, he should have never went to the school if he didn't have no contract. But guys, understand one thing. if you're investing in something, you're going to want to see return on your investment. So with him understanding that, he's trying to get in that institution to go ahead and get things rolling so that when these athletes come in for a visit, because signing period is what, a couple weeks away. If they're coming in for a visit, you know daggone well you want to make sure everything is on point to make sure those athletes are comfortable, their parents are comfortable, and they're not looking at the coach as somebody that's just pushing a bunch of fluff, wanting them to bring their kid here because all they care about is football. Coach Reed let them know this is bigger than football. This is about life. This is about life. They actually fed, the football team actually got out there and fed some folks there at Bethune Cookman as well. So that's a beautiful thing to see going on where you're trying to change the tide as far as with how things are being managed from being a coach from a sports perspective. You're getting everybody to buy into everything that's happening. If I'm not mistaken, I heard that he got all of the teams to collectively come together and pick up trash around the daggone campus. So you got to give him that as well. But again, delivery is everything. When I saw the rant earlier in the week, in which I did the video previously and I was talking about it, I kept saying, I said, man, you know what? This is not going to go where. This is going to be some serious blowback on Coach Ed Reed. And I'm just sitting there shaking my head like I'm doing right now. Looking at, what's going on with the program as far as the athlete. He did the last rant in front of the athletes that were there for the meeting. I'm shaking my head when he was told, when he told them that Bethune Cookman wanted him out. They wanted him out. And then with Ed Reed going live, with those athletes there, and, he let them know the real as far as what was going on from the standpoint of, he like, listen, I want to give it to you straight and not some made up statement. I don't want somebody to put a blanket statement out on behalf of me saying this thing went this way, in actuality it went another way. I give him props for that because sometimes you have to take that stand as a coach, letting folks know, hey, listen, this is what's going on. Now, will some people agree to that? No. There's going to be a lot of times like, man, he should have just went on here about his business. Matter of fact, I'm going to go back to it again. He should have never stepped foot on campus anyway because he didn't have a contract. But I say to you again, if you invested in something, people want to see a return on their investment, right? You got rid of Coach Sims because they weren't winning. You forgot they didn't have access to the building 2 years ago. Remember, I stated it to you guys before. They did not have access to the facilities 2 years ago. The football team got access to the facilities like right before, a few weeks before the season started. So you wonder why they had such a terrible daggone record. They started coming on towards the end of the season. The tweet went out saying that he was the new head coach and principal. As much as the athletes may want Coach Reed to stay as the head football coach of the Bethune Cookman football program, there's a lot more at stake other than Coach Reed being there and his delivery as far as with what he stated. Even though it may have been right or wrong, there's a lot more to what's going on with this that a lot of people are not paying attention to. And I gave this piece of information in the previous video in which, again, I'm going to show it to you again. Bethune Cookman is a privately held institution that is receiving $13 million in recurring money from the state. Now, I had to look up that word recurring because when it came to the financial assistance that Bethune Cookman is receiving from the state, as well as the phrase in principle, when they named Ed Reed the head football coach, I said, wait a minute. We got in principle and we got recurring. Recurring means, again, periodically or repeatedly. Now, just in principle, just like in principle, means a general idea or plan, although the details are not yet established or clear, or used to indicate that although something is theoretically possible, it may not happen. I know some folks like, come on, coach, don't tell us that. We don't want to hear that, coach. Listen, it gets even better than that, guys. Stick around and hear me out. Like I said before, this is much bigger than what everybody is looking at when it comes to what all Coach Reed had to say. Again, even though it may have been right, the delivery was off. And I say that because you must understand and pay attention to one thing. The money. Who holds the purse strings in Florida? The governor. The governor is the same person in Florida who bans African-American studies from Florida high schools, K through 12. They try to put in an AP program that would allow high school students to get college credits if they were to take this newly AP program that they were trying to put together. Governor ain't trying to hear it. He's not trying to hear it. Matter of fact, the AP program was going to be teaching Black history as well as gender and other race-related topics that the governor just does not want taught in any of the schools, any of the public schools. Now, here's an excerpt from the article that I read. Governor DeSantis stated, and where you see it blurred out right there, there's another political figure's name there that, you know, they were trying to attack, that they're attaching them to in this article. I'm not reading his name because I'm not even going to get into all of that right now because that's going to take this to a whole nother place I don't want it to go. DeSantis played an active role in stoking social and political anxieties, primarily amongst the stem from conversations about race and gender that occur on K through 12 public school campuses. In April 2022, he signed the Stop Woke Act, which severely limits race-based discussions at school. Do you have HBCUs in your state? Do you not think that these students are not going to be taught that at, at these HBCUs? I'm sure they are. But my question is, how impactful is that for these HBCUs to get their funding? I'm not trying to stir no pot. I'm just asking the question. I'm just saying that looking at everything that's going on, I believe that this is much bigger than Ed Reed understand. And I think he spoke on it, in which I think he gets it, but it's kind of like, had he just came in there and did the work and then showed what was going on after the fact, maybe we might be having a different discussion. Who knows? Maybe if he did do it that way, folks would have been looking at him as, okay, here we go, doing the same thing somebody else did. But the sad part about it is when you get people that want to invest, like Edwin James was saying that Shaquille O'Neal and some other billionaire folks want to come in and invest into Bethune Cookman. These are the issues that we have because you know what? They're going to want to see the books. They're going to want to see where their money is going. People just not going to scribble no check blindly and say, hey, here you go. Hey, go do whatever it is you need to do with it. They're going to want to see what's going on here. You know, you talk about Shaquille O'Neal and some billionaires that's going to come in there. Again, as I stated previously in the last video that I did on Ed Reed, I stated that he is out here in these communities doing some things, giving back. He's doing his thing. But again, the delivery of everything he said is what set this ablaze. And not only that, but when you look at it from a global standpoint, those words that he echoed, that he said, when I stated before, I said, if this by chance goes nationally, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. Yeah, people are saying, you know, hey, he shouldn't have said that. I mean, they are already trying to teach the young people that's going through school now what they can and what they can't say, what they can and what they can't talk about. This is almost as if we're sitting here right now, once again, dealing with another situation like with LeBron James when he made the comments about things that was going on with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and everybody else. And the lady came through, and I might be off as far as the topic that he was talking about when the lady told him to shut up and dribble on CNBC. Basically, how I'm looking at this right now is that, hey, listen, we're going to give you the money to make sure that you keep your doors open. Because remember, Bethune Cookman was in finance. They had financial issues dating all the way back up to 2020. In which when the pandemic hit, the state of Florida gave them $17 million. And after that, that reoccurring word, $13 million. So it's supposed to be repeatedly or yearly. They're going to keep it repeatedly. I'm going to go repeatedly, meaning they're going to continue to keep giving that money to Bethune Cookman to make sure that they keep them doors open and keep moving forward. Ed Reed came out there and exposed a lot of things, said a lot of things that have some folks in offices pretty daggone pissed off. Because remember, they voted in the state of Florida. They voted to give them that money. Them, Edward Waters, and I believe it was an FAU. If I'm not mistaken, it's 3 different schools that got that money. So all I'm saying to everybody is like, this is much bigger than just Ed Reed, you know, what he said. It's the ears that heard what he said that he got back to them like, hey, hold on, we can't have this over here. Regardless of the fact of what he's looking to come in here and do, we're cutting the check for you. He's not going to be here forever to make sure that you guys stay afloat as far as a financial windfall that he's going to be able to give to you. You're only going to have that financial windfall for so long. And after that, he's up out of there. Regardless of what anybody want to believe or not, there's still some parts of this country that's trying to take us back to when our grandparents were around. Excuse me, when our grandparents was living and doing their thing, when our parents was living and doing their thing. Now they're trying to push us back because, as stated before, woke. Everybody keep talking about woke. They don't want you woke. That's just like, I'm sure anybody that's watching this right now, I'm sure you did not expect for me to find that daggone article in which this man said that. And the sad part about it is I'm sitting here, I'm having conversations, even with my parents, I'm asking them questions just to get an understanding of everything that's taking place, because I'm like, wait a minute, what's really happening here? And when my mom sat there and said to me, she's like, son, you staring at the answer. You staring at the answer. And I had to collect myself and go back and say, wait a minute, let me look at this again. And the answer's right there. I just showed it to you. This is the second time I showed it to you. Go back and check through the video again and leave in the comments below what that thing is I shared with all of you for you to understand exactly what's going on here. I've been talking about it. I've been talking about it continuously throughout this whole thing. Like I said, it doesn't matter if it's an NFL Hall of Famer. It doesn't matter if he played at the University of Miami. It doesn't matter if they heard all of the passionate speeches that he's given while playing football at Miami and the Baltimore Ravens. You will not come in here. This is how some folks is acting that's outside of the campus. And I ain't talking about alumni. I'm not talking about alumni. There's some folks out there that honestly feel like, hey, you're not gonna come in here and rip what's going on to shreds. We know what's going on, and we got this under control. You ain't about to come in here and unwind this thing to get these folks in an uproar to really start asking some serious questions. I'm sorry, guys. I had to say it. I'm sorry. I'm saying it to you now. I know people don't want to hear that. But like I said, I salute those athletes for wanting to take a stand for their coach. I salute them for that. Because guess what? That's teaching them right now to take a stand for something that they believe in. Because if you're not willing to take a stand for something you believe in, you'll fall for any daggone thing. In the 25 days that Ed Reed has been there on that campus with those athletes, you can already see he's made a difference. Because those athletes, they're paying attention to everything that he's saying. The last thing he said to them before closing out was, make sure you go out there and pick up the trash. Make sure y'all get to go pick up the trash in the morning like you're supposed to. And the sad part about all of that is the fact that I'm willing to bet you them athletes did exactly that. Because they believed in the message that was being given to them. They understood that. See, a lot of times we look at things as far as just pushing dollars back to the institution. Yeah, monies do get mismanaged at some HBCUs. I'm not even gonna slide past that, act like it don't or have it happen. I'm not ready to do it. But I would say this: when you teach athletes to take pride in what they have and where they are in the moment, that builds character for them to move forward in life. Later on, for them to pay it back to those that they're going to come in contact with later on in life to teach them those same things. Again, the delivery was the problem. The delivery was the problem. I'm not going to say that it wasn't. But that delivery may have got an athlete or two that, he might have had a hard time reaching, for them to wake up and see it themselves. And you know what? I'm going to use the word wake, because it's time for us to wake up. Everybody talk about woke. It's not woke. It's understanding what's going on. It's understanding what has been done. You can't whitewash things away to act like it never happened. You can't say, oh, that's a boo-boo and we got to move on. I'm sorry. You can't. Those things in history that took place, they took place. They actually took place. And there's a lot of folks out here to this day that are upset at the fact that they're still being overlooked as people. And I'm not talking about just folks that look just like myself. It could be looking like any one of you that's watching this right now. We all collectively got to do better and come together. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. But I'm not going to bore you no more with none of this. But like I said, let all of that marinate for you. Let all of that marinate for a minute. I'm sure a lot of the points that I gave you, you may see them and say, dang, coach, you know what? You're absolutely correct. It's high time that we understand value of ourselves. That's everybody, not just me, not just you. That's everyone. But guys, coach gonna go ahead and get up on out of here. But until next time, be the one and lead.